And we're going to start by talking about Burning Man Theme Camp myths and truths. We're going to finally debunk some of those myths of where theme camps came from. And to kick us off with these truths and tales of Burning Man theme camps, let's bring to the stage Harley K. Dubois, the cultural co-founder of Burning Man, and Stuart Mangrum, Burning Man's Director of Education.
So you just swipe?
Yeah, you just swipe or click, and if you want to go back, pray. Just go to the other side so you can get the other mic.
Okay.
Hi, y'all. So excited to be here. This room is full. It's awesome.
Yeah, good morning. Hello, everybody. Has it really been a year since we all got together? Wow.
Whew. That would happen fast, huh?
What a busy year. And actually, unfortunately, between the last time that we spoke and this time, as you all know, we lost our friend Larry Harvey. I like to think of him as patient zero in our epidemic of mischief. But that was like a reminder to all of us that we're at this point in our journey as a community that it's increasingly important to make sure that we document and understand our past, and ask not just the what and the where questions, but ask those why questions that aren't necessarily as easy to answer, but are absolutely essential for us to figure out what are the things that we absolutely have to take forward with us as we go into the future and experience all the changes that are necessarily going to happen, and what are those things that are absolutely would be crucial for us to not lose. I happen to think theme camps are one of those things. So
I concur.
I just thought it'd be good for us to start with a little bit of exploration of those whys and those wheres and those whens. The first when is 1995. 1995 is the first year that we declared ourselves to be a city. We had no idea what we were doing, and we did a lot of things wrong. It wouldn't really be, probably another 5 years before we figured out some of the civic infrastructure and civic institutions that we really needed to actually be something more like a city.
A little sooner than that, but all right.
All right. Well, the first thing we got right, though, was zoning.
Thanks to me.
Why don't you tell us about your first foray into zoning in 1995, Harley?
Actually started in 1994. After the event was over, we had our debrief, which was really a pretty raucous party with lots of drinking and lots of smoking and lots of yelling. It was like a mosh pit of ideas. And I remember, I don't even know if Larry was there. John Law was running it, and which meant it was really loose and all over the place. And people were just basically yelling out ideas. And some woman next to me said, "We should get those camps that are doing things, like they're doing things together, like with ideas, and we should make them help with the infrastructure." And I said, "Yeah, that's a great idea. They're like theme camps, and we should take them and line the areas we want to have defined with the theme camps." And everyone's like, "Yeah, it's a great idea." And I never saw that woman again. I happened to run the hotline. Now, you guys, this is before the internet. So the hotline was everything. I was the contact to all of the people. So someone would call in and say, "I'm looking for a ride." And I'd be like, "Oh, great. What kind of camp do you do? Do you think you could call it a theme camp?" And I would enlist them in the idea of theme camps. And then I would place them. So the first year, 1995, we actually had 12 theme camps. And it helped define about a quarter of the circle that defined what is now Center Camp. Next year, we had 36 that covered the whole circle and a little bit out to both sides. And by 1997, we had 100 theme camps, and I had 2 people assisting me. Oh, and that was the year we did the loud side and the quiet side.
How did that work out?
That was really stupid.
Okay.
That was my idea. So you had loud people on this side and quiet people on this side, so the loud went into the quiet and pissed everybody off. So we only did that one year. Next year, I got some advice from sound engineers.
So when did we start calling theme camps?
Well, I started calling them in 1995. And I think it was commonly known by 97.
So is it fair to say that before 1995, there were no theme camps?
Oh, no. Oh, no. It's like everything at Burning Man. Just because OSS is claimed to be started in 2012, it actually started 5 years before that. It just didn't have a name. It wasn't quite defined yet. It was growing. It was blossoming. It was changing and turning into what would eventually be something that you could name. So theme camps were definitely there, I think, from the inception.
Okay, you've taken all the wind out of my sails. Because I was about to make the bold claim that I had the first theme camp.
I think you can make that claim. I mean, Larry said that Christmas camp was the first theme camp, but I never thought it was. But Larry got away with it for a lot of years, so you can try it.
It's in a lot of the official records. I'm going to still claim that we had the first bar on the playa. Absolutely true. And that my partner Paisley Hayes invented the monkey hut. You can see one right here. It's made out of bent PVC and burlap. It was the first theme camp where people felt like hanging around all day.
If you were really witty and could take a lot of harassment, I was afraid of it. It was really, really super smart people bantering around really, really fun ideas drunkenly. But you had to have a thick skin, and I wasn't quite tough enough to hang.
Interactivity isn't for everybody. It's not for the weak. We were inspired by the previous year that we'd gone. We did see Christmas Camp, which in 1993 was very heavily photographed, and I wouldn't say enjoyed really by the people. Christmas Camp was the product of two of our friends from the Cacophony Society, Lisa Archer, there on the left, and the infamous Peter Doty, dressed up as Santa Claus. And they loved to hate Christmas so much that they decided that they wanted all of us to hate Christmas as much as they did. So they subjected us to all of the worst Christmas kitsch for a weekend. The event was only a weekend back then, thank God. But that was like pretty much 3 days too much Christmas. They had old eggnog. They had, fruitcake.
Songs going all the time.
Yeah.
It was really obnoxious.
So this passes as, it's common knowledge or common misknowledge that this is the first theme camp. But if you read This is Burning Man by Brian Doherty, has anybody ever seen that book? I strongly recommend it. It's probably the best history of early Burning Man that's out there.
And there's no women featured in it, and that's not cool.
And in that, you're right, he interviews Peter Doty and not Lisa about the origin of Christmas Camp. But
He interviewed me, and I never got in it. He interviewed Mary, and she never got in it. We don't need it. We don't need it, but I'm just saying.
okay, I take back my recommendation. Go buy the Wired book by Brad Wieners from a few years earlier. Anywho, he interviewed Peter, and Peter says straight out, he said, we got the idea from Vivian Perry. Miss Vivian, another cacophonist, who had done what was referred to as the Elegant Camp in 1991. It was probably more of a performance art piece than a theme camp, but you were there and I wasn't, so tell us about Elegant.
It was the only touch of class there was out there. Really, truly, it was elegant. It was. She did a really nice job.
And I understand she brought a bunch of duplicates of the same outfit so that she could look like she was always fresh.
Yeah,
Everything was white.
Yeah, I learned white from her for years. I always wore white. I learned it from her back in 1991. You always look clean if you're wearing white, even if you're not.
And they poured champagne, and she brought out the china and the crystal, and yeah.
But I don't agree that was the first theme camp either.
Okay, I don't either, because in that same year there were several other camps. This was referred to as the Modern Primitives Camp. A couple of other cacophonists, Seb Hyde and Kevin Evans, caked themselves in mud, walked around all weekend talking in a gibberish language, and they made money out of mud that they tried to buy things with.
Yes, they are still there. You're right. Whoever said that in the audience.
Ozymandias. And also in 1991, we had the first art car camp, the 504 camp.
So you guys know the story about the 504 and the earthquake? A building collapsed on top of this car at 504, and Michael bought it and got it painted and drove it for many years, and that's it right there.
He got the paint job, but not the body work, if you know what we're talking about. So there were a lot of camps in 1991. I mean, that's pretty clear. There were things that were proto-theme camps.
You haven't mentioned mine.
What's yours?
It actually started in 1990 when I wasn't there. I helped prepare for people going to the desert. I lived in a household where this stuff came together, a lot of cacophonists. And Miss P. Siegel was going out, and I helped her sew pillows, and Miss Dawn, and helped them acquire a nice Persian carpet. And I helped them sew outfits that were beautiful, like, I keep forgetting the word for it.
Harem?
Harem, thank you, like harem outfits. And they were another taste of civilization out there. They threw the cocktail party right before the burn. That was the only event that happened, was a cocktail right before the burn. But it happened at that place, that harem spot, with that beautiful, decor and a real theme and real gifts to give, food, drinks, etc. So that could be argued the first theme camp in 1990 that I then partook in 1991, my first year.
Although by today's rules, would that be considered? That would be a staff support camp, I think, right? 1991 was pretty big. 1990, that's good to hear that there was something going on, because I look at pictures of 1990, and it looks like pretty much there was one theme camp, and it was Burning Man. Their interactive experience was pulling this big hunk of wood up on a rope and setting it on fire, and then taking it home and going away, right? Before that, on Baker Beach, you look at photos of Baker Beach, were there any theme camps there? 0. Right? This is absolutely something that came about in the Cacophony era, and I think definitely has its roots back to the Cacophony Society. You could even say, if you look back a little bit before our time in the desert, there were events like the Atomic Cafe, which was very similar to the theme camp experience. In the Atomic Cafe, a group of cacophonists took over an abandoned military bunker on an active military base. So they snuck into this place. They decorated it. They brought in furniture. They brought in food and drink, and they had an apocalyptic end of the world party pretending to be mutants. And then they packed it all up and left without a trace.
That's Michael in the white face with a wig on over there.
Danger Ranger,
to one side.
the far
Danger
right
Ranger.
there. Doesn't that sound a little bit like a theme camp? And it kind of gets to really the heart of what, to the whys, right? So why do we do these things? I think that providing that interactive experience is really what it's all about, rather than the camping part. It's the theme more than the camp, in my experience. And it's that urge to create a play space for people that's really why we do this and why it's so important to our experience out there. I don't know. Why do you think it's important?
Well, I'm going to quote you. Stuart said to me one time that we could have no big art, and we could have no art cars, and we would still have Burning Man if we had theme camps. Theme camps are really the fabric of the events. That's the way I've always described them. They're the entryway for anybody to come in and do something that's meaningful. And it's a place where the magic happens, where people gather in a way that is profound. And you do it whether you're knowing you're doing it or not. If you just join a theme camp, you're there. It's so easy to engage. And I just think that's really, really, really important to who we are.
Well, I'd love to return the compliment by quoting you, but I think I'm just going to stop where it is. Thank you, Harley. Thank you so much. Thanks very much.
That's Stuart.
I love you very much. Thank you, guys. This is going to be a great weekend. I'm so looking forward to this. I'll be around if you want to talk more about the olden days with somebody who remembers many of them, although there was some drinking involved in there. I don't really remember every little detail of every year. So don't ask me about that one thing.
I was just commenting before we got up on stage that the GLC started off with 80 people in our office, and it's turned into this really, we've taken a break from it now because it got so big. It turned into something that was so meaningful. The same thing's happening here. There's magic happening here. We started off quite small, and now we're live streaming, and we can't fit everybody. And the magic that's happening, I love the titles of what you guys are going to be talking about, and I love what you're sharing. So I wish I could be here for all of it. I know it's going to be a magic, magic, magic weekend. So thank you for taking something small that I started and making it into something absolutely amazing. Thank you.
Thanks very much.